Lorianne Tull here, and tonight I'm reminded of the fact that well, I don't have a future in a weird kind of way. I don't. I am disabled with an autoimmune disease. I have a yeast allergy. Everything that I wanted to accomplish with my life is done, and I basically have no future. There is no me getting back everything I've lost. And it's because we live in a world where who you know matters and who you are doesn't. How good you are as a person doesn't matter if you can drop a name. You see, I'm going to drop some names right now, but they're names of people I don't like. Eric Dane has ASL, apparently. That doesn't make you a hero, Eric. I worked on the set of Grey's Anatomy. I call you Eric out of disrespect in a way because I can't call you Mr. Dane because I don't see you as someone who deserves that much respect. Showing my age now, I used to look 10 years, 15 years younger than I am. I did when I worked on Grey's Anatomy. I wanted an acting career. I wanted children and a family. I'm a straight, cis female. I went to the same high school as Michael Phelps and was a GPA of a 4.0. I was working full time on sets and making a living on sets, and it was my only source of income after I had a mastectomy, and I was raped by a guy named Jeremy Gilbert after having that mastectomy. I was dealing with enough. But then narcissism in the industry is high. If you're someone who thinks you know someone and that someone makes you important, then you could destroy other people's lives without a second thought. Eric Dane has ASL. Karma's a bitch. I had cancer and was making minimum wage. And you and Arie Star, Patrick Dempsey, decided that I was crazy. That I didn't have a law degree when I do. Didn't have an acting degree that I do. That because I wasn't some hot, pretty blonde with blue eyes, I couldn't possibly be trained as an actor. Couldn't have possibly gone to law school. And yet all of those are factually true. I got a theater degree and a master's in performing arts management and a law degree, and I went to the same high school as Michael Phelps. And oddly enough, my dream was to work on Star Trek. I did not know that Arie Star knew Leonard Nimoy's father. That's now on his IMDb, but I don't know if that's true. I was picture picked to be on the original Star Trek by J.J. Abrams after working on Cloverfield. I had been on sets for 4 or 5 years roughly. I'd started working in 2003. I knew crew people on the set of Cloverfield, one or two from Carnival and from other shows. So I'd worked and earned their respect. It had nothing to do with name dropping. It had nothing to do with a celebrity's name at all. It was just the fact that I showed up, did my job, and did a good job. Arnie came into my life in 2005. I kept thinking that I'd worked with him on Carnival or Deadwood because he had that look, but I hadn't. He was not in my world pre 2005. But he acted almost like I should know who he was on some level. It was like he kept emailing. I have emails from him like somehow he expected me to be able to get him on a set where I was working and I wasn't the casting agent. I was like, I don't do that. The only thing I can do is tell people, go to this casting agent. I can't, if they don't need you. I mean, if I were to hear that they needed people, and then I would be like, well, I would say to people, call the casting agent, because that's how you got on a casting director. Sorry, a casting director. It's because call the casting agency. All right, casting director for the casting agency. But and I'm like, you know, for someone who knew, I guess, Leonard Nimoy's father, which I didn't know until just now, actually, because I never bothered to read his bio on IMDb. And I'm not apologizing to him on anything I did or anything I said, because I would have behaved the exact same way. Because I'm not going to kiss up to you because who you say you know, if you're going to treat me like crap. If you're going to look down on me and expect me to butter you up, or for that matter, he was angry, I think, because I got picture picked and, he couldn't get on. He was having difficulty getting on that J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. It was because I had already worked 3 years and made connections and done the work, and they opened the door for me. I couldn't bring somebody else in I just met. I wasn't going to do that. And I didn't know who Arie Star was, really. He just suddenly appeared on sets, started sitting with me, talking to me, and acting like he knew everything. When the reality is he did some plays in New York, and I've done theater too. But from my perspective, he wasn't someone I knew well enough to be able to say anything about. And actually, his attitude made me not like him at all. And I actually think I told him, you need acting classes, Arnie. At least for on camera. Because when I came to California, I knew I needed experience. I took some classes at AFI. I took some cold reading classes. I took some on-camera classes when I first came to California so that I could get the experience to know what to do on a set. Not that I liked one of the teachers I had at all. But tonight I was at a play, and it was with the Shakespeare Company that I like to go see, and I know people there. And I ran into a working actor I know who I used to do work with in Hollywood, and he asked me what I was doing, and he said he's studying with Larry Moss. I'm thinking, why do you bring up Larry Moss? I've never met Larry Moss. I've heard of him. I've had other acting teachers offer me jobs. I think I had an opportunity to study with a group on the West Side that actually taught Patrick Dempsey, of all people, but I refused because I don't believe, because of my beliefs. I didn't feel comfortable going to that school, and I didn't have the money to go. And even though they probably would have worked out something with me where I could have worked for the school, in exchange for me maybe taking classes or something like that. But I'm not over what happened to me, Eric Dane, Patrick Dempsey, or Arie Star. I never will be, because I can't have, you can't give me the cap. I can't have kids anymore. I can't have children anymore. Arnie had already had kids. I was at a point in my life where I needed to be able to make money, to be able to build a life for myself, and to be able to have a career so that I could actually establish myself, so that I could feel stable enough financially, so that I could actually make choices, so that I might be able to have children of my own. And instead, what happened was they decided that, oh no, we're just going to mess with you, slander you, lie about you. Don't tell me that Eric Dane is a hero for the way he's behaving with ASL, because he behaved like a monster when I was sick. And I wasn't mentally sick. I was dealing with an autoimmune disease. I had gone through a mastectomy. These are gone. And Arie Star, Star Trek, is a television show that has a lot of meaning to me, because it represents a future where actually humanists matter. It's a humanist story. They even have an episode where they talk about how in the future, human beings will not kill animals for food anymore. I'm plant-based. One of my dreams was to work on Star Trek, and it almost came true. Because you were lucky enough to meet Leonard Nimoy's father, you're going to destroy that for me, right? I'm not kissing up to you, and I'm not apologizing for anything I've said or did, because I didn't do anything wrong. You kicked me when I was sick. You decided that I needed to be kicked off set because you decided I was sick with a mental illness I didn't have, when I was actually physically disabled. You violated my rights under the American Disabilities Act. Shonda Rhimes' show did. Shondaland, because of what you did, Arie Star, because of Laura Toohey, Eric Dane, and Patrick Dempsey. And maybe my own father was involved as well, considering the fact that Michael Laverne worked on that set, who knew my dad, what my dad was, as Union after I was gone. And I don't like Michael Laverne or Lee Kabarian. I've spent 15 years wanting my life back on set and not moving on. Because unless I have a career of my own, unless I have the financial ability to be able to take care of myself, I am not going to be involved with somebody else. Because I need to feel free to make that choice for me, not be put in a position where I have no choice but to settle for someone just to survive. And I wanted a best friend. I wanted a nice, sweet, good person. Someone who was artistic, someone who was creative, someone who allowed me to feel safe. I haven't had a good night's sleep in years, which is why I look the way I do. Because I had been so stressed out because I was working hard. I was happy for the first time in my life. I did not need Arie Star or Eric Dane or Patrick Dempsey playing God with my life and deciding that, well, we need to lie about her and get rid of her. The three of you might as well have been Hitler to me or fascists. You really are. I will probably never be a working actor now. But there's nothing I want to do. I don't need people coming in my life trying to get me into an accounting job. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a finance whiz. I'm not a scientist. I am not a doctor. Granted, I'm a ADHD, maybe on some level, because I had a social worker tell me I'm that, maybe, because I was a straight A student in high school. But I have a theater degree and a master's in performing arts management. I do not have a political science degree. Yes, I have an economics degree. I've done nothing with it. I had made zero friends in the business economics department when I was in college. I can't think of a single friend who I have who has an economics or business degree. Not one. Because that is not what I'm drawn to. I don't belong anywhere now. I am not a bad person. I did not deserve any of this. I certainly didn't deserve for some snotty person who, because they knew Leonard Nimoy's father, decided that they needed to snub me and get rid of me because how dare I get on Star Trek before he was. He also knew I was in the PSA for Stand Up to Cancer because I'd had a mastectomy, Arnie. I went through cancer while working on sets the year before you even came into my life. And Eric Dane, it doesn't take a lot of courage when you've got money in the bank to fight a disease. Try fighting it living off of $1,700 a month. No car. And the doctors aren't telling you what is wrong. Try fighting it when you have insurance, but then when you go see doctors now, they demand that you pay $200 up front. And I'm guessing it's because my insurance is based in California, in Maryland instead of California, because you, Eric Dane, or someone else doesn't want me staying here. And meanwhile, I can't leave because my yeast allergy would not let me live somewhere like Maryland, which is practically a swamp where it rains all the time. I need to stay here in California just to stay alive. Someone was attacking me over and over again online. And whoever it did, they started with an account named Mikey Sanchez. And they used a soccer ball, a football. Eric Dane, aren't you a little obsessed with football and soccer? Don't you have some New Zealand team that loves you? I'm a basketball player myself. Are you Mikey Sanchez? Or do you know who that person is? Arie Star. I don't care who you know. How you treated me was appalling. You're a cartoonist, not a psychologist. You were not in any position whatsoever to determine whether or not I had any kind of mental illness whatsoever. And that schizophrenia does not run in my family. Everything on my resume is true. I went to the same high school as Michael Phelps, got a GPA of a 4.0. I went to McDaniel College on a full scholarship. I have a theater degree and master's of performing arts management from American University. I have a law degree from Catholic Law School. My IQ is Mensa worthy. And you are a cartoonist with a lot of narcissism, and you didn't care what your actions did to anybody else. I'm fairly certain every time I've run into people who are Star Trek, they've cut themselves out of my life potentially because of you. Right? You know who was attacking me because they said, "Are you and Tim Russ still friends?" And as for Jordan Marks, I didn't do anything to him. He wanted to do things to me. And I told him to go find other people. Go date other people. Move on. I didn't seduce him. And he actually accused me of being gay because I was a nice girl that was looking for a guy my age. Not some guy looking to score on a set. And I had been celibate since 2006, and I graduated from college a virgin, and I don't have any STDs, including herpes, because I'm a better person than most of the women I've met out here in California. I'm a better person than thinking what people expect me to be. And yeah, I know, I look like crap. Because I'm scary to people. I'm a Phi Beta Kappa honor student, which basically means you could trust me with your money and I wouldn't steal it. You could trust me with your boyfriends and husbands. I wouldn't take them. At least as long as I know they're married and taken. I wanted the next guy in my life to be the father of my children. And since I can't have kids anymore, I guess I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. I'm perfectly fine with that. And if I don't have an acting career, then I have absolutely positively nothing I want to live for. So Eric Dane, Arie Star, Patrick Dempsey, you murdered someone in a way. You're pompous, unethical, immoral, selfish, self-centered, celebrity. I would say celebrity wannabes. Like, I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, Patrick Dempsey and Eric Dane, you're never going to be great actors. You're never going to be great actors. You're just pretty boys. I might have been a great actress, but I wouldn't have cared one bit about People magazine or about fame. And I certainly didn't want to be remembered as someone who was labeled crazy by a bunch of pretty boy D-rate actors on the television, on a soap opera drama about doctors that doesn't really help the world do anything but make doctors think that being a doctor is all about scoring with pretty women and not about actually helping people. I was sick with an autoimmune disease, and it took me 10 years to figure out what was really wrong because doctors were doing the wrong tests, and doctors didn't know. They didn't know that Hashimoto's even really existed. Everyone was labeled like people with thyroid diseases, either hyper or hypo, and when I didn't have either, they were like, nothing's wrong with your thyroid. Because my autoimmune system was attacking my thyroid. I may regret some of the things I've said in this video. Or the way I've said it. But the heart of it, I don't regret at all. Eric Dane, you're a monster. You're no one's hero. Patrick Dempsey, you're a shallow, insensitive coward who only wants pretty things and pretty people. I mean, supposedly you give money for cancer, right? And yet you kicked a woman who had gone through a mastectomy just weeks before starting working on your show. Both of you didn't even get a college education. I did, so you hate me. Because let me guess, I'm the nerdy kid, right? We all know that Hollywood loves to paint the intellectual people as the ones to make fun of. And by doing that, you're destroying this country. You're destroying the best and the brightest in this country. You're making it so that people don't want to get an education. You're making it so that people don't want to get smart. And what does that leave us? A man like RFK running the health department. Seriously. Who doesn't believe in vaccines. I love Hollywood. I love acting. I love story. But if you're going to do a story, do it right. If you're going to do a movie or television show, make sure it's something that actually makes the world a better place. And don't be so horrible as to pretend to care, to pretend to put up a story that has meaning, while behind closed doors, you go the exact opposite of what your story represents. Don't claim to be pro-women when you treat women who you think aren't good enough for you to screw, or to be in the same room with such disdain and such disgust. I worked on sets for 5 years and I respected the industry and I followed their rules. And what I got was pussy grabbed. And what we have is a president in the office in the White House who thinks that that behavior is okay. And I wonder what Hollywood is going to do in the future. Are you going to keep presenting that image that we women are here for you to grab? Jordan Marks grabbed me on the set of a Cellular, started tickling me, wouldn't stop. Got fired from the show for it. Jeremy Gilbreth. I fell asleep on a sofa with him. He was just a friend and he had a girlfriend and he knew I liked somebody else. I didn't like Jeremy Gilbreth that way. I never would. I felt sorry for him because he had an drug problem. On the East Coast, I had guy friends who would never touch me like that. What he did was rape me. And he's from Texas. And his wife is Alana Philo, who graduated from my college 10 years after I did. She doesn't have a theater degree, though. She wasn't an honor student as far as I could tell. She played, I think, field hockey and was a sorority girl. I don't have very much respect. Oh, yeah, and she's in the same sorority as an actress I knew who hit on my boyfriend when I was on a date with him in front of me. I don't think she knew, though, that I was a virgin, that I was the goody two-shoe girl, that the guy she was hitting on to me was the closest I'd had to a guy best friend in my life. He even came to me later and said he felt like he was losing his best friend. I felt the same way. Though when I look back on it, maybe it worked out for the best. But still, RJ, I was a better person than you were. I wouldn't hit on a guy that I liked when he was with somebody else. The world is a small place. I worry. I do. I see what happened to me. And it shouldn't have happened. But then I also know. I wonder if someone had stopped what happened to me, would America be where it is right now? And we picked the wrong people in Hollywood to be heroes. My idea of heroes when it came to actors was Martin Sheen getting arrested for protesting homelessness in D.C. Mark Ruffalo standing up for Palestine. I still follow him online. He seems to be one of the few sane actors left in Hollywood who's actually trying to do the right thing and standing up for what's right. But Patrick Dempsey and Eric Dane, Arie Star, you have everyone fooled. Actually, no, you don't. Because if you ask around, everyone knows Patrick Dempsey and Eric Dane are not good guys. But they're still working. And Arie Star, you pompous moron. I haven't had a job since 2010. And I'm probably going to die because of what you did. But I want everyone to understand something. I have a yeast allergy and an autoimmunity. And if I'm mentally ill at all, it's because of what Eric Dane, Patrick Dempsey, and Arie Star did. It's because I had plans for myself. I was working on a certificate in digital media where I had a GPA of a 3.6. I'm getting ready to write an article, by the way. I'm publishing it about my life in college so that you understand, that people understand. I'm not a business oriented person. I was doing plays and was a DJ at the radio station and was helping with organizing activities and parties for my campus. I was not the kind of person who would be running for office or being a politician, or all of my friends were actors and creatives. I hate you, Arie Star. I hate whatever you're telling people. You're probably whining and crying or something, or saying I did something I didn't do. The reality is I never attacked anyone. He sent me emails saying I attacked actors, but won't say who I attacked. Because I didn't attack anybody. He was just jealous. And he also expected me, I guess, for me to kiss up to him because I didn't know who he was or who he knew. And even if I'd known who he knew, though, I wouldn't have kissed up to him because he's a guy. I'm sorry, I don't throw myself at men. I tested as having the reading ability of a 12th grader in the 6th grade ARNE. I was labeled special when I was 10. I was given problems that were harder, projects that were more difficult, books that were harder to read. I was taught how to speed read. Yeah. I never felt good about myself. I feel like I'm ugly. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm a freak. I'm a monster. At least physically looking. I've never looked in the mirror and seen a pretty woman. Well, I had. For the first time in my life, right around the time this mess started, I actually felt good about myself when I looked in the mirror. I'm thinking, I am pretty. I lost my breast cancer, but I'm okay with that. And the next thing I know, I show up to set to be told I'm on a list like I'm some sort of freak. I cried tonight because of it. I would not want to be in an acting class with Arie Star. So I don't think I'll be studying with Larry Moss. I want an acting career. But I have an autoimmune disease and a yeast allergy, and because of that, I have to make sure that I'm okay. I have to know that whoever hires me to be an actor is going to provide for my needs, because if they don't, I'm not going to be able to eat. And it is hard for me. And because of SAG-AFTRA not allowing me in the building anymore for years, because of the pompous attitude of some men who decided I wasn't worthy to be in, or I was going to be a problem, or I was going to stalk them, or I was going to do this or that, or I was going to have bad behavior. I didn't have bad behavior. I dared to stand up to men who basically abused me and lied about me. I dared to speak out against the guy who raped me. I dared to actually say, Patrick Dempsey and Eric Dane, I really went to law school and I have a theater degree. I'm never going to get anything for what they did to me. I should have been worth something. I had ideas, stories to tell, talent. I actually submitted a script to the Copyright Office in December because I wanted to have there be some kind of record of the fact that I was more than just an actor. But at this point, I don't want to write a script for some pretty pompous people in Hollywood so they can take my words that I've written and tell me I can't play a character in a movie that I wrote because I'm not good enough. I'm too ugly. I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too that. Well, if I can't act for a character that I created for myself to act in, then none of you get the opportunity to act. None of you get the opportunity to work in something that I've written. which means all of my ideas are dead. All of the movie ideas that I had are gone. To you, Arie Star, what happened to me is over. But I want the world to know what that means is that you destroyed me. And it made you feel good about yourself, right? It made you feel like you achieved something. It made you feel like you're a sick, twisted hero, right? Getting rid of a girl who was sick. Getting rid of a girl who'd gone through cancer. Getting rid of a girl who had an autoimmune disease. Getting rid of a girl that you decided was mentally ill. And because you decided I was mentally ill, that meant I was dangerous, which means you are just as bad as Hitler. He used to experiment on the mentally ill. Send them to concentration camps and annihilate them. You see, I'm not mentally ill from my perspective. I don't want to be programmed to be like everyone else. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be regular. I don't want to be lobotomized to want a regular job and be bored out of my mind. I wanted to grow. I have 10,000 books I want to read before I die. And instead, I got trolled for 5 years by someone threatening to slash my face and rape me, telling me that my being an actor wasn't doing anything like creating a product or doing something that was economically worth anything. Well, I don't want to make crap to put in a dumpster. I wanted to make art. I hate you, Arie Star. Congratulations. You accomplished something. Because I came to California thinking that hate was the worst thing you could do to another person. Grey's Anatomy taught me how to hate. That's what that show taught me to do. That's what the actors on that show taught me to do. I have never wanted to hate anyone, even my own parents. I didn't like them. I wanted them out of my life. I now hate them. So while some of you may think Grey's Anatomy is the greatest show on earth, my experience in it taught me how to hate. Taught me how to not like something. And it actually put me in a position where I'm actually happy with someone being sick. Because they didn't care that I was sick and kicked me when I needed help. When I needed hope. Acting is what I love still. Acting is the only thing that makes sense to me. Everything else just feels like tasteless. I'm never going to have fun again for the rest of my life. And I don't want to change my personality. I don't want to become someone other people like while I hate myself. I liked being known as talented and creative and capable on a set. I liked being known as an actor. I don't care about being famous. But I don't want to be known as a teacher or a real estate agent. My life doesn't matter anymore because I can't be what I want to be, an actor. I really don't want to be something else. And it has nothing to do with the fame or the money or the glam or the fortune. I really don't care about looking like a sexy hot model. I wanted to be healthy, mentally and physically. And when Arie Star and Grey's Anatomy took away my only source of income, they took away the only possibility of me being able to be healthy. It made it harder for me to find the care that I needed. It made it harder for me to figure out what was wrong. They didn't help me. They certainly didn't help Grey's Anatomy. I didn't exactly like working on that show to begin with. But by also cutting me off from all the other networks, all the other productions, all the other shows in town, you're gone for good, Laura. And ironically, despite that happening, I had 2 shorts in festivals in 2011. Arie Star, I still have credit. I have credits after what happened to Grey's Anatomy. And unless I am doing acting, I am not doing anything. I am not accomplishing anything. I'm not working as a lawyer. I'm not working as a doctor. I'm not working as a scientist. I'm not going to school. I finished my certificate in digital media. I wanted a certificate in film. I don't want to go back to school so I can be useful. I don't want to go back to school to get a job where I'm going to be making money, because I'm never going to be happy. I was happy. Why the F couldn't you let me stay happy, Arie Star? Why couldn't you leave me alone and let me just be happy? And Dane, you're a ugly person.